Hi, and welcome to the Flex podcast. I am Anna, and today I'm going to be rabbiting on about my scoliosis. So, first and foremost, before I even begin, I just wanted to say that this is not what to do when you have scoliosis podcast. It's just a bit of what I've done and what I've experienced, what I found works for me. So, if you have it or someone you know has it, obviously you need to speak to someone professional regarding that exact curve because everyone is so different. So this isn't a how-to, but it is just what has felt good on my body and my experiences over time. So first and foremost, scoliosis is a curve in the spine. So you can have a C or an S-shaped curve, and it comes in different degrees. So I have an S, and they're both around 45 degrees, which is a decent size, but they can go a lot bigger. It can go like double the size. So mine's big enough to have needed like intervention, but not so big that I was forced to have like immediate surgery or anything like that. So I found it when I was about 13, and I was sat in front of neighbours on the floor with my hands around my back, sort of reaching backwards. And I was like, oh, wow. I ran to my mum and I was like, oh, I can feel my spine in one hand and not the other. She was like, don't be ridiculous. And then she looked and she was like, oh, yeah, so you can. And so we went to the doctor, and I was referred to Stanmore, which is a orthopaedic centre, where they obviously x-rayed me, and I ended up needing a brace, which I wore most days to school. I could take it off for PE. I'd have a little break when I got home, and then I slept in it. So I have to be honest, it wasn't the most comfortable experience of my life, and they can rub a little bit, although they have come a long way since then and they're much prettier now, but they do rub a bit. So I used to wear like a bodysuit, like a seamless bodysuit underneath to try and stop it rubbing my skin so much, but it still did a little bit. Obviously it's roasting as well in the summer, because then I used to wear a t-shirt over the top and then my school shirt, because I didn't want everyone to be able to see it sticking out. But I feel like that's less of a big deal now, because you can have them printed with, patterns and cool colours and stuff like that. So I wore that most of the time till I went to college. And then when I was at college, so at 16 to 18 in the UK, I only had to wear it at night. And then after that, I didn't have to wear it, and it felt very weird not wearing it. So I took it to uni for the first semester because I didn't think I'd be able to sleep properly without it on, and I was paranoid. But yeah, I just kind of stopped wearing it after a bit. I got used to it, and then that was it. So with the bracing, I know for a lot of people it's still something that's very, happens quite a lot, especially for that kind of growth period, when you're a teenager and so on. And I totally get that it feels overwhelming and it's really uncomfortable when you put it on the first time, but I promise you do get used to it over time. So if you're worried, or someone you know is worried about wearing it, they find it uncomfortable, I do totally get that. You just sort of get used to it after a while. And it is annoying logistically, like having to sit up in it. I used to hook the bottom of the brace over my school chair at the back, because when you sit down, it kind of pushes into the bottom of the plastic. So yeah, there's little things, little sort of tricks that you can use to work around it. And if you sit up really straight, then you can't see the top of it so much. Whereas obviously if you lean forward, the top bit of the brace kind of sticks out a bit at the back. So I used to sit up really straight or stand up really straight all the time. But they did recommend surgery at one point, but I decided not to have it. So the way that my personal surgery was described to me was that it was more aesthetic than it was anything else. So I was like, well, like, I'm happy if we can keep it the way that it is, that I don't feel like I necessarily want to have any surgery. So we decided not to go down that route, and instead to look at other things that could maybe make me more comfortable. So I started having things like massage and physio and so on from the age of 14, which at the time wasn't recommended as a treatment on the NHS. So my parents had to pay for it privately. But I guess the first time I had it, I was really nervous because the masseur was a guy as well, and I think I felt like teenage body, very nervous about it all. And the same with being cast for the brace. I remember that being quite graphic, although I don't think they do it the same now. So it'd have to be, it felt like a lot more naked and invasive at the time, but I think it's a very different experience now. Not that I was naked, just to stay there, but I think when you're a teenager, anything less than your full tracksuit just feels a bit weird. But yeah, it happened and it was fine in the end. And now the curve is, I think it's pretty stable. Had an X-ray a couple of years ago. It's pretty good. But there was a time in my 20s, I think I was doing a lot of exercise, like a lot. No resistance training, just running and swimming and dancing. And I started to get really bad muscle spasms. And that was, I think, the first time that it had caused me any significant amount of pain. And it was to a point where on the first occasion it happened, I couldn't move or get out of bed, had to go to hospital, got loads of very, very strong painkillers and muscle relaxants. And after about 3 days, that started to work. But the spasms kept recurring. So they ended up recommending that I have a cortisone injection in my spine, which I had. And then that worked to treat for me. So they said it would either only work for a bit and then I'd have to have it done again, or it would like spontaneously resolve it. And that is for the most part what happened to me. Although I have had a few more since then, hasn't been on anywhere near the same scale. Like at the time, I literally couldn't do anything without causing a muscle spasm. So I couldn't like go out. I remember putting heels on to go out with my friends one time, and that was it. That was the end. Couldn't even leave the house. So that was a tricky period, but it definitely got better. And I would say for me, and again, this is not a recommendation because I'm not an expert in other people's scoliosis, the things that worked for me was starting to resistance train carefully and looking at my strength, because I'm quite lanky as a person. I did tons and tons and tons of cardio. So I don't think I probably had enough strength in my body to help me feel supported and help my body move in like maybe the best way that it could. So the resistance training has massively helped. I do a lot of mobility stuff, and I still have massage like every fortnight, because for me, it is the sensation of the muscles feeling tighter that causes me the most discomfort. Like, so most days it is uncomfortable, which is absolutely fine. I can work with it. But over time, it feels like I've got a corset around my rib cage. My ribs get tighter and tighter. And I don't feel like any amount of movement that I do can make it any better. So for me, the massage really helps with like the sensation of it feeling tighter, and like even just for that hour to feel completely relaxed. We do a lot of physio exercises. So if I've got niggles, I take them in every time to my sports therapist, Luke Morgan, from Zen Anatomy, if anyone is interested and local to me in kind of the Shepperton area, Gerrard's Cross kind of area. He's really helped in terms of giving me exercises that I need for a specific problem that might come up. Because I have to be honest, my curve is not one that is problem free. And some people like literally never feel it and they don't have any pain, and some people have a lot. But for me, it's mostly muscular. And I find that the training, the mobility, the massage all really help with how generally the muscles feel, how they work, and kind of my overall well-being, I guess, and the quality of life, I think, for me, because the strength I have in my body now definitely helps me in terms of avoiding injury and avoiding annoying my spine, which is what it feels like. I also, with this feeling around my rib cage, I get like all the muscles in between my ribs feel really tight. And I think, and again, I think part of that is to do with breathing. So I do like a fluid flow of yoga sometimes, which I'm not actually sure how much. I mean, obviously the movement helps, like moving does help release a lot of tension anyway. But for me, a lot of it is slowing my breathing down for that short period of time and using my full breath to expand my rib cage. And the breathing can help a lot with releasing the tension around that top part of my torso, because that's where I feel it most, in the most uncomfortable way. Other places are just niggles. We've also done a lot of work on my mid-back strength and a lot of work on my glute strength and my core strength, which for me has been really good. Even now, I'm 42 when I'm recording this. I often feel that I don't have enough general strength around my lower core to hold myself. I can't explain it. I feel like if you don't have scoliosis, then you can't kind of guess how it feels. But sometimes I feel like I'm just lacking the ability to brace, which is ridiculous because it's an automatic thing that happens in your body. But that's the feeling of what it is for me, is I'm like, sometimes I don't feel like I have the strength in my body. And I would say to anyone who's got it, or anyone who, if your kids have just got diagnosed or whatever, it's really scary. Like the first time that you do anything, and I think this goes for anyone who's carrying an injury, the first time I went to the gym and trained with a PT, I was already training, but I probably wasn't doing it to my best ability. It's probably about 12 years ago, maybe a bit longer. The first time I trained, we started doing a barbell hip thrust, which is where you have the bar over your lap and thrust the bar up to the sky. We had just the bar and the wooden training plates, which makes it 20 kilos. And I cried. I afterwards went into the toilet and I cried because I was so nervous that the emotions were overwhelmed. I was so nervous I was going to hurt myself. And it was also uncomfortable because I was moving my body in a way it hadn't before. And I was so tense that it made it a lot more uncomfortable than it needed to be. And gradually over time, my PB on the hip thrust is now 210 kilos for 3. So I went from 20 kilos and I probably then stopped about 80 because I was so worried I was going to hurt myself. I spoke to another like really high level PT. I said, I really want to start trying to get actually stronger and lift heavier. And he was like, well, pick a lift that you like, that your body feels comfortable with, and have a go. He said, if it doesn't feel right, stop, like reach out for help, try and train with someone. But he said, if you're getting to a point where you feel like you might be capable, then just see what happens. So I did. And it was a real slow progression. So I'm not saying I went from 20 kilos to 210 kilos in 6 months. That is not the case. It was more like over 8 years. So there's a period of time where you might start training and you think, that is enough for where I am now, and I'm just going to keep doing it at this level. And then I want to feel the movement better and feel more confident and more in control of everything. And that is okay. And that is the same for anyone training with an injury. A lot of it is letting your body get used to it. And also, most importantly, your mind kind of catch up with where you're at, because you are so used to trying to protect yourself and so used to trying to avoid pain that you kind of get yourself mentally stuck in this rut of, this is the only thing I'm ever going to be capable of. But actually, for a lot of people, just taking the time to allow your brain and your body to process where you are at now and feel comfortable with it can open doors in the way that you might want to progress things later on. Or you might think, actually, I'm going to try this and see if I like it. There are still things now that I absolutely suck at in the gym, that I'm really bad at. So I can't really deadlift. Like, I can do a few. It's almost pointless because I can't lift heavy enough for it to be of any significance to me at the level that I'm at now. And the same with squatting. So I can't squat very heavy, but I'm pretty good at things like reverse lunges or B stance squats, whereby I'm not expecting my hips to do exactly the same thing at the same time. Bulgarian split squats, for example, I love them because I can go really heavy. Like, I work at that at the same level as anyone else who's sort of like my weight, my height. But squat wise, I'm probably half, if that. And even that feels uncomfortable. And I think probably as some kind of, I do know that my hips are very slightly different shapes and so on. So I think that makes certain movements very uncomfortable. But upper body wise, I feel like I'm exactly the same as anyone else. It's just that I need to choose my lower body exercises carefully. And so for a lot of people, and anyone with an injury, sometimes it can feel better to start on fixed resistance machines and do body weight, free weight exercises. So fixed resistance machines are the ones in the gym. So you're like your leg extension, leg curl, leg press. So for some people, it can feel more comfortable to be on there because you're kind of locked in and it's made to kind of hold your body still. Whereas when you're doing free weight exercises like lunges or squats or deadlifts, there's a lot more moving parts in that movement and your body can fit in the shape that it wants to. So for me, that feels a little bit more stressful. And that's one of the reasons why I love the hip thrust so much, because it goes up and down and it feels good on everything that I have when I've got good technique. Obviously, it was scary at the beginning, but now it feels awesome. To a degree as well, and I have to say this, I'm not saying that anyone should be training through the pain. That's not what I'm saying. But on any given day, I am uncomfortable in some way, in some part of my back. Like even sitting here now, I can feel tension in different places when I think about it that presumably like normal people in inverted commas don't have. So my level of discomfort is there, so that then that can form like a stress, or you're worried about hurting yourself more. And then when you're in the gym, you still might feel niggles and discomfort when you're doing stuff. So for me, that is something that I had to sit in for a bit and get used to. Like actually, there are things that might twinge a little bit. Like if I'm picking dumbbells up off the floor to use and I do it a bit awkwardly, my back can still twinge. But I have learned that not something isn't necessarily going to happen from that. And 99% of the time, nothing comes from it. It's just a twinge or a little niggle that happens when I'm doing a slightly awkward movement or I'm trying to get into position. But when I actually lift and I do the exercises, I don't have any additional pain. So for me anyway, a lot of it has been about realizing what is uncomfortable and also realizing that doesn't necessarily mean there's anything wrong. It's just that I'm tight or something is a bit off with me that day, but actually I'm not going to be making it worse by training. There are some days when I'm like, I literally can't train because my back is so bad. That is so rare for me now. It used to happen more frequently. I think that probably happens like max twice a year. It's just like the little niggles now of things. And then obviously I go and see Luke. We talk about it. We try to find some things that might help. And this is another thing. If you're getting recommendations from your physio or sports therapist and you do them for a week and then you think they're not working, that is not long enough. Some of the exercises that I've done for months and months because I can feel that small improvements are happening. But for me, those improvements happen better over a longer period of time. So I just have to be consistent. So I put those exercises into my workout program so they form part of it, so that I do them religiously rather than trying to find bits of time here and there to fit it in and make it like part of what I'm actually trying to do for myself. And for a lot of folk, I totally get that it might not be feasible for training to be a huge part of your life. Like obviously it's my job now, which I chose and I love. So that has made it a lot easier for me to fit things in. But for some people, if you're struggling to find the time where you're thinking, oh yeah, it's such an effort though, it is an effort. It is 100% an effort. But if you can get a 20% improvement in the way you move, or a 30% reduction in the pain and the stiffness that you feel, or any low percentage from doing something and doing it consistently, I have to say for me that is 100% worth it. The effort is always going to be worth the improvements that you have, or the other way around. Because if you have a chronic injury or chronic condition, mine is not going anywhere. It's never getting better. My curve isn't going to reduce. It's going to be the same. I want to feel like an old lady ninja. I don't want to lose my posture. I don't want to feel uncomfortable. I don't want to ache all the time. I don't want to feel like that when I'm older. I don't want to not be able to get out of the chair. I want to be strong and I want to be able to live like a long and strong life. So for me, the effort of bothering to go to the gym, of bothering to deal with my rehab, of going to have massage, of paying for it, of doing this and that, it's 100% worth it. Because for me, I have seen the alternative and I felt it. When I was having those spasms, you might think I was just a muscle spasm. It was literally my whole torso. I couldn't stand up straight. My whole body was crouched over. I was like, excuse my language, but I was like, fuck, this is literally what my whole life could be like. And it was so painful and so uncomfortable. I couldn't get a breath in. It was just rank. that feeling, I've seen it and I've felt it, and for me that's motivation enough. Like, I will train, I will do everything, I will keep trying, I will try different things. Tried to form a Pilates recently, loved it. Some bits scared the living shit out of me because I was like, I could feel how much tension this was putting on my back. But the instructor was great, helped me regress it. It's something that I'm really enjoying working on. When I try the Stroff method, there's so many like different little things that you can try and see if they work for you. And I have to say that empowerment of being able to think, actually, there are things I can do and things that I can look for, is an incredible feeling, because there's always something else to try and something else to mix things up. And can you add extra exercises into your program? Can you see your physio and ask for something a little bit different? Like, maybe you might have niggles in your shoulders, or you might feel that your shoulders aren't as strong as they should be because of the positioning of your spine. Like, you can ask for stuff. It is something that for me isn't going to change, isn't going to go anywhere. Excuse me, but there are still so many things that I can do to improve how I feel and to keep feeling like I'm moving forward. And that's essential, because the hope and that drive and the passion that you have for everything, that comes from having that like positive mindset and of wanting to move forward. And do not get me wrong, there are days where I've cried and I've been in pain and I've cried and I've been like, this is just so frustrating that I am here and that this is happening again. But that they are so few and far between. And especially for me, since I've been training, all of that has reduced so massively that for the most part, I don't really think about it in terms of, I can't do that because of my back. Because everything that I don't like to do or doesn't feel comfortable doesn't really bother me. Like, I can't really squat that well. I mean, I can squat, but like 40 kilos, I've done 50. That was a real struggle on the spinal region, I have to be honest. So I can do it, but it's not where my colleagues are, like other PT colleagues who are squatting like 80 kilos, 90 kilos, 100, 120. Like, it's nowhere near what they're doing. I can still do it, but I don't think about it because I just don't program it in. So if you're working with a PT or someone and you find that there are exercises that for you at this point just don't feel right to you, and it might not be the squat, your squat might be bloody great with scoliosis, but it might be a different exercise, then they will find you different things that train the same muscles that maybe feel better in your body. There's always alternatives and there's always things that you can do to work around whatever you have going on. I feel like I have rabbited for plenty enough time about this, especially as I'm literally just talking about myself. So I'm going to shut up. But for anyone who's struggling with scoliosis, for anyone who's got an injury that they're trying to overcome, just don't forget that it might feel shit at the moment, but things do get better. And whilst, yes, there may be some medical intervention that you need in order to be able to move forward, that is just the way that it is. There will be other things that you can do after in terms of physio rehab, trying new exercises, whatever it is. There are always things that you can look at and that you can try. You just have to have that mindset. I'm going in with an open mind. I'm going to be careful while I try it. But I'm going to go in with an open mind and I'm going to see how I feel. And I'm going to feel confident to communicate to the person who's training me or who's leading the class. I think that I have scoliosis or I have an injury. I want to do this at my own pace. And if there is something that I don't want to do, I'm just not doing it. And that is absolutely fine. I have done that too. I've been like, nope, absolutely not doing that. No way. I can already feel it. I can already feel it hurting my soul. So I'm just not doing it. But then I don't get embarrassed and leave. I'm just like, cool, I'm going to chill, do my own thing here. And then when the instructor moves things on, I will catch back up and I will do that with him. But on this particular exercise, I know I can't do it, so I'm going to switch it out and I'm going to do something that I want to do. They might have recommendations for you, but for me personally, I would prefer to do something that I feel comfortable with already, so that then I don't need them to stand around and help me while they should be helping other people, and then I can just catch back up. Obviously, when it's one-to-one, it's very different because they will change it for you. But in a class situation, I don't want anyone to touch me. Now, I've been to yoga before, and the instructor pulled me to get me into the position. And I was like, do not touch me. Do not pull my spine anywhere. I do not want you to touch me. And that's probably a me thing. I was like, you don't know me well enough to manhandle me. Luke can manhandle me. He's been giving me rehab, physio, massage for like 9 years. If he thinks this is a great stretch or this is a great position, I'm just going to show you where it is. I'm confident in him and I trust him. But someone whose class I've gone to the first time is not manhandling my spine. So we all have little things, right, that we're a bit touchy about, and that is mine. So I will be like, no, I'm good, thank you, no corrections. If you can just tell me what you want me to do, I will try it, but I don't want you to move me. And then sometimes I'll say yes, but other times not so much. Anyway, I'm kind of digressing. What I'm saying is you are in control of your own body. It might not feel like it all the time because maybe it isn't the body that you thought you were going to have, but it is the body that you have. You're going to work with it, learn to love it. I wouldn't get rid of my scoliosis now, if I'm completely honest with you. I wished it away a lot in my teenage years and my early 20s, but I wouldn't now because I think it's taught me a lot more than it's taken away. And I feel like I've got a lot more compassion for my clients who are training with injuries. I can see the panic in their face when we're looking to try something new. So I always think of 100 million ways to regress it so that when they're going to attempt that lift, we've pulled it right back so they feel comfortable. We talk about pain. We talk about their pain management. We talk about what they might be comfortable to try. I feel like I have a lot more compassion for my clients in that way and a lot more space in my head to think of things for them and to try to work out how to make them feel more comfortable. So for me, it's also made me patient. It's made me more hardworking. It's made me a lot more driven and a lot more focused and a lot more consistent, dedicated. I think I probably would have floated around with stuff because I'm generally athletic genetically. So I was like always quick or always... Not always, I wasn't the best, don't get me wrong, but I was always kind of sporty and kind of fast, good at sprinting, good at swimming. Like it was sort of more natural. Whereas I've had to really work hard at this and I enjoy that because it makes me feel very hardy in terms of my focus and dedication. And that is a nice place to feel because it translates over into a lot of other parts of our lives. Anyway, I really am going to shut up now because that was 7 minutes ago and I'm still talking. But I hope this has been helpful. Anyway, I'm going to be nice and quiet. Enjoy the rest of your day and I'll speak to you again soon.